Hello students, today we are going to discuss Unit 1 from M.sc Zoology Applied Entomology, that is Insect Taxonomy, Characters and Classification of Phylum Arthropoda and Characters and Classification of Class Insecta, then Characters of Insect and its orders. Now let us see the phylum Arthropoda, its general characters and classification. If you see the symmetry is bilateral symmetrical. That means to say, when you dissect a body longitudinally into two equal halves, the internal organs that are present in that body are present, same number of organs or same type of organs are present on both left and right side, both the sides, which is called as bilaterally symmetrical, and they are metamerically segmented. Body is often organized into distinct regions like the head, thorax, and abdomen. If you see the exoskeleton, hard, renewable chitinous cuticle that protects the body and provides attachment for muscles. So exoskeleton, that is outer body, is very hard and it is having cuticle which is made up of chitin. So it helps in protecting the body. So it attaches with the muscles. Now if you look at the appendages are paired and they are jointed. So they are called as paired and jointed appendages. So they are utilized for various functions like walking, feeding, or sensing. Circulatory system is open. So open circulatory system. Like in other animals, closed circulatory system. That means to say the blood is always, it will be flowing inside the either arteries or veins or capillaries. But here the circulatory system is open, where the blood flows through a dorsal tubular heart. So the body cavity is a hemocoel. So the body cavity means inside the body, the entire body is filled with the blood, so which is called as hemocoel. So it's filled with the fluid called blood. Respiration and excretion. Respiration is via gills or book lungs or a tracheal system. Excretion is primarily through malphizian tubules or coaxial glands. So these are the excretory organs, either malphizian tubules or coaxial glands. Now phylum Arthropoda is broadly divided into 4 key subphyla, that is Chelicerata, example spiders, scorpions, ticks, mites, etc. Body is divided into cephalothorax and abdomen. It possesses chelicerae for feeding and 4 pairs of legs. So they have 4 pairs of legs. Next, crustacea. Examples prawns, crabs, lobsters. So these are primarily aquatic. They live in the water. They possess 2 pairs of antennae and gills. Then myriapoda. Example centipedes, millipedes. Elongated bodies with numerous segments, each bearing 1 or 2 pairs of legs. That's called, next is hexapoda. Example, insects and springtails. Body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen. It possesses 3 pairs of legs. This class Insecta, if you see the general characters, the body division, if you see, it is distinctly divided into 3 tegmata. Head, that is sensory for feeding. Thorax is for locomotion, and abdomen Abdomen is for digestion and reproduction. Then appendages. So thorax bears 3 pairs of jointed legs. Hence hexapoda. They are called as hexapoda. And there are usually 1 or 2 pairs of wings. Cephalic appendages. They possess a pair of antennae, compound eyes, ocelli. Ocelli means simple eyes. And they are segmented. They have segmented mouth parts. And if you see the respiratory system, gas exchange occurs via a specialized tracheal system. Excretion is carried out by Malpighian tubules. They also perform metamorphosis. Growth is accompanied by a periodic shedding that is called as molting, and varying stages of metamorphosis also we can see: ametobolus, hemimetabolus or holometabolus. Now this class insecta is classified. It is generally classified into 2 subclasses. Apterogota, these are primitively wingless. Then ametobolus insects, example silverfish, etc. Then pterygota means winged or secondarily wingless insects. These are further divided into exopterygota. Wings develop externally, simple metamorphosis. Example grasshoppers, termites, true bugs. Then endopterygota. Wings develop internally, complete metamorphosis involving larval and pupal stages. For these examples are beetles, butterflies, wasps, flies, etc. Major insect order, they are highly diverse. This insect order, they are highly diverse and they are classified into multiple orders like Arthroptera, example grasshoppers, locusts, crickets. Then they have chewing mouth parts. They also have enlarged hind legs adapted for jumping, leathery forewings. Then Isoptera, example termites. These are social insects. They have bead-like antennae, chewing mouth parts, soft bodies, etc. Next order is Odonata. Example dragonflies, damselflies, self-flies. Then they have large compound eyes, 2 pairs of similar highly veined membranous wings. They are aquatic nymphs. Examples Hemiptera, like true bugs, and their aphids and true bugs, these are the examples. Then they have piercing sucking mouthparts forming a rostrum or a proboscis. Forewings often modified into hemelytra. Then Coleoptera, example beetles, weevils. These are heavily sclerotized forewings, acting as protective covers for the membranous hindwings. Then is Lepidoptera, example butterflies, moths. In these, the wings are covered in overlapping microscopic scales, siphoning proboscis. Then Hymenoptera. For these examples are ants, bees, wasps. They have 2 pairs of membranous wings locked together by hamuli, that means tiny hooks. They have prominent ovipositor, sometimes modified into a stinger. Then diphthera, example true flies, mosquito. They possess only 1 pair of functional wings. The hind wings are modified into balancing organs called halteres. Insects being the most evolutionarily successful and diverse animals on earth. So they have always posed challenges for classification. History of taxonomy dates back to the origin of human language. Animals and plants were given names to facilitate communication. The primitive man must have classified the organisms he came across mainly based on the utility of those organisms as food, pleasure seeking, useful, harmful, very dangerous, etc. Many indigenous tribal people have distinctive names for each of the animals and plants they come across, which agree well with the names given by experienced taxonomists, except in cases where the sibling species are involved. Over centuries, insect classification has evolved, and with the advent of new technologies, molecular tools, and fossil discoveries, it has been regularly revised and refined. The history of insect classification can be divided into pre-Linnaean, Linnaean, and post-Linnaean. It's further divided into Darwinian era and Hegelian era. Taxonomy. With transition of one era into another, the misconceptions of previous one were discarded and crude ideas were more refined with more number. The most primitive evidence on insect classification comes from the writings of Aristotle 384 to 322 BC. In his book Historia Animalium, evidences trying to make the classification system as natural as possible, minimizing all sorts of artificialities. In this, now, what is the basis for insect classification? The first one is pre-Linnaean era. The most primitive evidence on insect classification comes from the writings of Aristotle. So, classification of living beings contains some elements which still existed in the 19th century. Aristotle grouped animals into two, animals with blood and animals without blood. With blood are vertebrates, without blood are invertebrates. Animals with blood were divided into live bearing, that means humans and mammals, and egg bearing, birds and fishes. Similarly, invertebrates, animals without blood, are insects, crustacea. They divide into non shelled, cephalopods, and shelled, and testacea. They are mollusks. So they showed the relationships of living things in a hierarchical ladder of life or scala naturae, placing them according to complexity of structure. Insect systematics also may be considered to have begun with the work of Aristotle. He included Entoma as a subdivision of the Anima, that is, invertebrates. He recognized Arthropoda, Echinodermata, and Annelida. Among Arthropoda, winged and wingless insects and two basic types of mouth parts, chewing and sucking, were recognized. Here, he grouped all flying insects with other flying animals like bats and birds, which reflect huge artificiality in his classification. Insects were often perceived to arise spontaneously, a conception often dubbed as theory of spontaneous generation, which was later disproved by various workers. Then coming to Linnaean era. Between 1735 and 1758, the Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus from 1707 to 1778 gradually improved the system of classification of insects. He recognized 7 insect orders in the 10th edition of Systema Naturae, that is, Aptera, Naturoptera, Coleoptera, Hemiptera, Lepidoptera, Diptera, and Hymenoptera. He added Orthoptera and Cyanoptera in his 12th edition of Systema Naturae. He also consistently used binomial nomenclature and proposed taxonomic categories. Each species had short description, place of occurrence, and habits. Scarabaeus hercules was the first species in Linnaeus class Insecta. Linnaean system was highly artificial as it not only brought together unrelated forms but also separated insects with common descent. He recognized 3 under class Insecta, namely Aptera with no wings, Diptera with 2 wings, superior alle with 4 wings, and Omnis with 4 wings. His Aptera included not only all wingless insects but also spiders, scorpions, terrestrial crustaceans, and myriapods. Student of Linnaeus, Fabricius, he described a large number of insects from all over the world. The first systematist considered to specialize on insects published the first textbook of entomology, that is Philosophia Entomologica, in 1775. He proved the Linnaean classification by giving importance to the structure of mouth parts, and he recognized the 9 orders: Eleotherata, Eulonata, Sinistata, Piazzata, Agonata, then Rhinogata, then Antliata. He regarded it as a moral natural character than number of wings. He published his system of classification in his books Systema Entomologia and Insectorum. Post-Linnaean taxonomy, that is the Darwinian era. In this era, studies on the classification of insects achieved the light of evolution after Charles Darwin. He proposed his revolutionary theory of natural selection of organic evolution in his book On the Origin of Species by means of natural selection, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Darwin's work on the origin of species was published in 1859, paving way for evolutionary interpretation for classification. The theory of evolution is the foundation upon which all the modern biology was built. To establish natural relationships among taxa, entomologists started considering new and more characters while classifying insects. From anatomy to behavior to genomics, the scientific method requires an appreciation of changes in organisms over time. James Dana put stress upon the degree of cephalization. The class Insecta is supposed to be developed from myriapods or protomyriapods during the Devonian period. Major steps involved in the origin and evolution of insects are appearance of primitive wingless insects in Devonian period, then development of wings in late Devonian or lower Carboniferous period. Wing folding on abdomen in lower Carboniferous period. Then complete metamorphosis in upper Carboniferous period. Now in this, if we go stepwise, step 1, it is the appearance of primitive wingless insects. Carpenter in 1953, he gave all the major steps in the origin of primitive wingless insects. The first steps in their evolution is the segmented, legless, worm-like annelid stage, in which each segment is known as somite or metamere. The first segment is prostomium or acron, and the last segment is periproct or telson. In the next stage, the animal consists of paired lobe-like appendages with simple eyes and antenna on first and second segment. The third stage, protomyriapod or proto-insect. As the name refers, it consists of insect and characters like segmented appendages, somites, 4, 5 and 6 reduced. Then primitive head performing the function of food mastication, and last appendage performing sensory function. Further stage, it refers to myriapod stage with 7, 8 and 9 somites becoming primitive mandibulate type of mouth parts. The next, in this next stage, puropod, kilopod or insecton level body segment. It gets divided into head, thorax and abdomen. Abdominal segment 8 and 9 are modified into external genitalia. Cerci on 11th abdominal segment and telson are lost. These insects resemble those of Archaeognatha and Thysanura, which are wingless or epipterygotes. They are soft bodied and most of them are fossils today. The theory of the fusion of segments is supported by the fact that the thorax has 6 legs derived from 3 segments, and the head has 5 fused ganglia, and the thorax has 3. Ganglia are nerve bundles, of which there is one in each segment of the annelid worms. The ganglia serves the purpose of brains in worms and play a lesser role subordinate to the brain. One of the earliest steps in insect evolution was the development of the compound eye. Every terrestrial animal and many insects have simple eye that is only sensitive to the intensity of light and allows it to discern objects more. But some orders, example bees in the order Hymenoptera, they are known to need them for navigation. So the compound eyes develop for vision. Step 2, if we see, development of wings. The development of wing was the major step in the insect evolution, as they were the organisms having power of flight for the first time even before the birds. Flight mechanism gave success to the insects as they can escape easily when in danger, and no competition is found in air. But the wings were not capable to flex on the abdomen while it remains expanded on the rest. They comprised of paleoterous primitive insects including Odonata and Ephemeroptera, which were dominant in Carboniferous and Permian periods. Wings were found in the thorax region, not due to loss of walking appendages as that in case of vertebrates, but they were added to thorax. They were widely accepted theory of wing origin, the paranatal theory, states that wings are the bilateral extensions of the thoracic nota. Then, The wings developed articulation and neuromuscular arrangement for the gliding movement of wings. At the same time, tracheal gills also developed in larval aquatic stages. Then step 3, wing folding on abdomen. Next step was the development of wing flexion mechanism, which helped the insects to fold their wings on the abdomen. This is the character of Neopteron insect group, that is new winged form. This advantage added a significant change in survival of insect because it allowed more efficient escape and hide in the cracks and crevices, and thus they become the dominant group of present day insects. As 90% of all the orders and 97% of all the insect species belong to the Neopteron type, example Hemiptera, Dipteral, Hymenoptera, Siphinoptera, Anopleura, Neuroptera, Lepidoptera, Strepsiptera, etc. Then step 4 is complete metamorphosis. Due to the evolution of complete metamorphosis, the different stages as larva and adult do not share common habitat as different habitat. Aquatic larva and terrestrial, that is aerial adults, allowed them more efficient life. Benefits in their predators, danger, more dispersal potential, high fecundity, readily available nutrients. With all these changes, some more changes like tracheal system evolution, it allows terrestrial gas exchange, impermeable cuticle that does not allow water to escape and interrupts invasion of parasites. And fat body, it helps them to survive in drought and unfavorable conditions, also developed. All these changes divided insects into major groups. Apterogotes, that is, they are primitive wingless insects. Pterygotes, these are the winged insects. Now, pterygotrous exopterygotes, that means wing flexion mechanism is absent in them and they show simple metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means the changes that take place from the larval to the adult one. So they show very simple metamorphosis. Next is Neopterous exopterygotes. In this, the wing flexion mechanism is present. The previous one is wing flexion mechanism is absent. In this, it is present, and they also exhibit simple metamorphosis. The third one is Neopterous endopterygotes. Even in this, the wing flexion mechanism is present, and they have complete metamorphosis process. Now, if you see the orders of insects, the first one is Endopterygota. That means internal wing development. So these are separated from the Exopterygota. That is external wing development. So internal wing development and external wing development, they are separated. Examples of Endopterygota are the Coleoptera, Lepidoptera, etc. And Exopterygota are the Hemiptera, Homoptera, Orthoptera and Isoptera. The insects of, now if you see, these are the examples. If you see step 3, the wing folding on abdomen. It is the development of wing flexion mechanism which help the insects to fold their wings on the abdomen. This is the character of Neopteran insect group. New winged forms. This advantage added a significant change in survival of insect because it allowed more efficient escape and hide in the cracks and crevices, and thus they become the dominant group of present day insects. If you see the complete metamorphosis, Due to the evolution of complete metamorphosis, the different stages as larva and adult do not share common habitat as different habitats. Some are aquatic larvae and some are terrestrial aerial adults. With all these changes, some more changes like tracheal system evolution, that is, that allows terrestrial gas exchange. Impermeable cuticle that does not allow water to escape and interrupts invasion of parasites also. And fat body that helps them to survive in drought and unfavorable conditions also. Then, all these changes divided insect Endopterygota into major radiation in the Permian. Most modern insects families appeared in the Jurassic period, and further diversity, probably in genera, also occurred in the Cretaceous period. This insect evolution is characterized by rapid adaptation with selective pressures exerted by the environment, high fecundity, appearance of new species, diverse environmental niches, and parallel evolution of flowering plants. So far, there is nothing that suggests that the insects were a particularly successful group of animals before they got their wings. The members of the Antognathus, mouth parts pulled into the head. Apterygot orders include Protura, Collembola, and Diplura, and Ectognathus. Ectognathus means mouth parts are pulled into the head. Apterygots, Archaeognatha, and Thysonura. So the evolution of the orders, it's described as Exopterygots, Paleopterus, Endopterygots, and Neopterus Endopterygots. As we have already discussed, the characteristic features of arthropoda. So they are bilaterally symmetrical and metamerically segmented. And the body is often organized into distinct regions like the head, thorax, and abdomen. We also have learned that their exoskeleton, they have hard renewable chitinous cuticle which protects the body and provides attachment for muscles. They have paired jointed appendages utilized for various functions like walking, feeding, or sensing. They also have circulatory system which is open. They have open circulatory system where the blood flows through a dorsal tubular heart. The main body cavity is a hemocoel. That means the body cavity is filled with the fluid. Then respiration is via gills, book lungs, or a tracheal system. Excretion is primarily through Malpighian tubules or coaxial glands. And now it is broadly divided into subphylums Chelicerata. Example spiders, scorpions, ticks, mites. In them, the body is divided into cephalothorax and abdomen. They possess chelicera for feeding and 4 pairs of legs. Then the next one is crustacea. Example prawns, crabs, lobsters. They are primarily aquatic. They possess 2 pairs of antennae and gills. Myriapoda examples are centipedes and millipedes. They have elongated bodies with numerous segments, each bearing 1 or 2 pairs of legs. That is hexapoda. Example insects and springtails. Their body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen, which possess 3 pairs of legs. Now once again, if you see the characters of insects, the body division, if you see that it is distinctly divided into 3 tegmata: head, thorax and abdomen. The thorax bears 3 pairs of jointed legs and usually 1 or 2 pairs of wings. And they have cephalic appendages. They possess a pair of antennae, compound eyes and simple eyes, ocelli, and segmented mouth parts. In them, the gas exchange occurs via a specialized tracheal system. Excretion is carried out by Malpighian tubules. Growth is accompanied by periodic shedding, that is molting, and varying stages of metamorphosis. It is generally classified into Pterygota, that is primitively wingless, and Emetobolous insects. Then Pterygota, these are the winged insects, or we can say secondarily wingless insects. So these are further divided into Exopterygota, wings developed externally, simple metamorphosis. Then Endopterygota, wings develop internally and they have complete metamorphosis. So basically, if we see, the insect orders are classified by their wing structure, mouth parts and metamorphosis. So based on this only, they are divided into wingless insects and winged insects. They also have piercing, sucking mouth parts forming a beak, that is called rostrum. Front wings often hardened at the base and membranous at the tip. The odonator, if you see, the examples are dragonflies and damselflies. They have chewing mouth parts, 2 pairs of similar intricately veined membranous wings, and they also have large compound eyes. Another one is Blatodia. So these are the examples: cockroaches and termites. They have chewing mouth parts, flattened bodies, and they are social habits like termites. Theraptera, that is example lice. Wingless obligate ectoparasites, piercing, sucking or chewing mouth parts, and their legs are adapted for clinging to hosts. If you see the Endopterygota, that means which have complete metamorphosis, and the next one is Coleoptera. Examples are beetles. In them, the front wings are hardened into protective covers, membranous hind wings, and they have chewing mouth parts. And among all these, the largest insect order is Lepidoptera. Some examples are butterflies, moths, and they have siphoning mouth parts. That means proboscis. Wings are covered in overlapping scales. Hymenoptera, example bees, wasps, and ants. Chewing lapping mouth parts. 2 pairs of membranous wings connected by tiny hooks. Ovipositor often modified into stinger. The next one is Diptera, example flies and mosquitoes. They have piercing, sucking or sponging mouth parts. One pair of membranous wings. They have hind wings reduced to balancing organs. Then Neuroptera, they have lace wings. They also have chewing mouth parts. And they have many veined membranous wings. And they have predaceous larvae. Now if you see the summary, the insect classification system we follow today is the culmination of decades of dedicated research by numerous scientists and entomologists. So we have learned the three different types, that is pre-Linnaean era, Linnaean era and Darwinian era. Pre-Linnaean era, early attempts by Aristotle and others using basic morphological traits. Linnaean era, Carl Linnaeus introduced a systematic classification in his work Systema Naturae using binomial nomenclature. And Darwinian era, in this the evolutionary principles shaped insect classification, incorporating anatomical and embryological studies. Heinesian era, phylogenetic systematics were introduced, emphasizing evolutionary relationships using shared or derived traits. So, this modern classification is founded on a wealth of evidence derived from diverse fields, including paleontology, anatomy, embryology, molecular biology, and comparative genomics. The integration of these multiple sources ensure that the current system is both reliable and accurate, providing a robust framework for understanding insect diversity. Fossils also play a significant role in understanding the insect evolution. This insect classification is far from reaching a definitive or static phase. Rather, it remains a dynamic and continuously evolving field. As new evidence emerges, the understanding of insect phylogeny undergoes regular refinement. Advances in technology, including sophisticated molecular tools and discovery of new fossil records, they play a pivotal role in reshaping classifications. So, consequently, the classification system is subject to ongoing updates, with possibilities for the addition of new taxa, the rearrangement of existing groups, or revisions to previously established classifications. This ongoing process underscores the ever evolving nature of scientific inquiry, where each new discovery enriches our understanding of the intricate and diverse world of insects, providing deeper insights into their complexity and evolutionary history. So, with this, we have come to the end of the chapter. Hope you will have understood. Thank you.